Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Amen. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. A little bit harder. Shabbos, just like that. Amen. You see, you get better every time. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. So that's where it is. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Nice. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Amen. Because we're so good at it, maybe we'll do it one more time, just for fun.
A few stragglers.
Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Wow, it's so lovely to be here together. It's been a long day. It's been a little bit of a hard day. And it reminds me, and Zinnia will teach us about it much more tomorrow, but it reminds me, a day like today reminds me of this week's Torah portion, which is Parshat Shlach Lecha. Now, in Parshat Shlach Lecha, there are some pretty notable things that happen, some things that you might have heard of before. This is the portion where Moses takes 12 spies from the 12 tribes of Israel and sends them to go and scout out the land. Now, they go and scout out the land, and after 40 days, they return with news of a land which is indeed good, a land which is flowing with milk and honey, a land with fresh fruit, a good land. But 10 of these 12 tribes, or 10 of these 12 spies say, though the land is good, there are giants there. Though the land is good, there's no way that we will be able to conquer it.
What did they mean by giants?
What did they mean by giants?
You can hear that.
What did they
Mean giants?
Mean giants. Well, they called them Anakim. They said Anakim, which is a reference back to Genesis of these like mythical giant people, these Anakim. And they say the land is filled with Anakim, so even though it's a good land, even though it's a land flowing with milk and honey, it's not worth it. Maybe it would have been better if we had just stayed in Egypt. And there's always people like that when we come to moments of adversity, right? There's always going to be those of us who say, oh God, not me. Send someone else. But there were two. It seems like there's always two. There were two who said, Al Tira, don't fear. So even though the land is filled with giants, even though we may seem like grasshoppers, at least to ourselves, we may seem like grasshoppers. Those obstacles in our way are truly greater than we are. Even so, Al Tira, don't fear. So we'll begin tonight on page 339 with a reminder from Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, a reminder that though the whole world is a very narrow bridge, the most important part, the most important thing, the Ikar, is not to be afraid. Kol haolam kulo yesher tsar me'od yesher tsar me'od yesher tsar me'od Kol haolam kulo yesher tsar me'od yesher tsar me'od ve'ha'ikar lo לפחד כלל The whole wide world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. The whole wide world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. And how do we say we're not afraid? What do we do to say to those forces of evil in our world, those obstacles in our way, that we are not afraid? Well, we're going to start tomorrow. We're going to welcome a new adult member of our Jewish community, Zinnia. And this is the way that we've always done it. As Jews, we've always used our tradition as resistance. We've always used this tradition that we have in our hands as rebellion. And Zinnia, I'm really excited to invite up your dad to read for us on page 2. And someone else from your family who's going to get elected right now is going to light the candles for us on page 3. Or maybe on page 3 you'll do the reading and then we'll light the candles. Okay, we got it. I am so proud of you.
I forgot my reading glasses, so these are my wife's. Really good ones.
We'll read, we'll write, and
There's my blessing. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we should speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary and meet all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
And on page 2. Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvot v'tzivanu le'hadlik On page 5, we'll rise together in body or spirit to the Kiddush. On page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei V'Shabbat Kodsho V'Ahava U'Ratzon Hinchilanu Zikaron L'Maaseh V'Reishit Ki Hu Yom Tehillah L'Mikra'ei Kodesh Zecher Etziat Mitzrayim Ki Anu V'Charta Ve'otanu Kidashta Mikol Ha'anim V'Shabbat Kodshecha Ve'ahava U'Ratzon Inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh Hashat. Amen. L'chaim. You may be seated. We'll continue with this psalm for Shabbat on page 22. 22. More shir le'yom haShabbat. Needs more shir le'yom haShabbat. Tov le'hodot Adonai u'lezamer le'shimcha elyon lehagid baboker chastecha ve'emunatcha baleilot ale asor ve'ale navel ale hingan yom bechinor mizmor shir le'yom haShabbat mizmor shir le'yom haShabbat Tov le'hodot l'Adonai u'lezamer le'shimcha בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, ועלי היגיון בחינוך. Read with me at the bottom of the page. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me with your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai. How very subtle your design. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Continue by welcoming those angels which join us on Shabbat on page 24 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boahem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bachuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Seitem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And just as we spend this time to welcome those angels which join us on Shabbat, those celestial angels that join us on Shabbat, so too we take a little bit of time to welcome the more corporeal angels, those people sitting next to us in the seats around us. And if you would take a few moments to turn around to someone you don't know, or go across the room to someone you don't know and say, Shabbat Shalom, you are a gift. On page 26. Ikra Shemei Rabba Yam Adid Rakute Vyam Lich Malchute Bechaye Honu Vyom Echon Uchayetecho Bet Yisrael Bagala Bagala Ubislam Karim V'imeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Me'olam Ulam Me'amaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitba'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitale V'yitala Shmei Kedusha Brichu Le'elam in Kol Berchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Damiran V'yama V'imeru Amen. We rise in body or spirit on page 28 for our call to worship. Yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Dai, 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 dai. On page 30, roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night, roll into dark, roll into light, night turns to day, day turns to night. Baruch atah Adonai, Ama'ariv Aragami. On page 33. On page 33, we read together, on the top of the page, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle. Help me to understand, to be honest, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivon Mahuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivon Mahuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. If your name's not Zinnia, you can be seated. I invite tomorrow's Bat Mitzvah to come and lead us in De'ata. Yeah. The Marcus family to come read De'ata. On page 36. Okay. See, I wasn't kidding. It's all about God. And with those words of hope in our hearts, we read responsively on page 39, at the bottom of the page. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. This song on page 40. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. On page 42. Hashkivenu for the sake of the name, shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishalom. Now you know well enough to sing it, right? Let's hear it. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishalom. We celebrate this beautiful Shabbat on page 44 with Vishamru. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'torah v'ritorah. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'torah v'ritorah. B'nei uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'torah v'ritorah. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לתורתו וריתורתו. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לתורתו וריתורתו. We'll rise together in body or spirit on page 46 for our Amidah. Adonai sefata tiftach ufia tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor B'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekoneh וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם למען שמו ואהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מוריד אתה. מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. תומך נופלים ברופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו ראשני עפר. מכבוד בגבורות ומגדול ומצמיח תשובה ונאמנת בחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש בשמך קדוש וקדושים בכל ים יהללוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You may be seated. We'll read together on the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill Baruch atah Hekadesh Hashem. We take some time now to think about those within our community and perhaps those beyond our community, those whose names we say aloud and those whose names we hold dear to our hearts, who are in need of healing. And that could be healing of the mind or healing of the body or healing of the spirit. But if there's a name that you'd like us to share here in community and hold together, I invite you to offer it as my hand passes over. For all those names and those which are only here, we turn to page 253 for our Misha B'Erav. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, it's time for my favorite Shabbat gift. Every week I get the pleasure of giving you all this gift, which probably so often you don't get to take for yourself, but I'm going to give you express permission here right now. You can take it. It's that very precious, very important, so oft sought but not found gift of violence. So you can use the words on the page in your book, or those words which you find in your heart. But take some moments now. Shabbat.
In brave feet, the Heyon Libi, Bifanecha, Adonai Tzuri, Vegoali. Adonai to be the Goali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehuah Imefi. The Heyon Libi Lefanecha, Adonai Tzuri Vegoali, Adonai Tzuri Vegoali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehuah Imefi.
Today, perhaps more so than many other days, it's important to remind ourselves that we are in fact not grasshoppers. We are human beings with agency, with ability, and with responsibility. And we recognize that responsibility on page 282, even as we rise in body or spirit, growing. Elaine, it's upon us. Aleinu l'shaveh v'adon hakol, v'teikidu lavenu tzereshit, shelo atzar k'goyei ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, lo sam chelkenu ka'hem, ve'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, they reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. We remember the recent passings of Phyllis Weiner, Robert Zuckerman, Nancy Rosenbaum. We are also honoring the yard sites of Dora Barron, Cheryl A. Clavin Brown, Phyllis Farmland, Martin Filish, Gussie Fowler, Lillian Golden, Troy Marzetta, Jack Warren Palin, Daniel Rosen, Louis Rotenberg, Barry Shore, David Silverman, Edward Spindell, and Dr. Raquel Superla. The Orders of Phoenicia Tome, Mourner's Cottage can be found on page 294. Ikadal, Ikadash, the Mirava, Yama, the but I own your own, I am the whole base Israel. Bagala, with Mankari, H. Meg, Rabban, Rorak, Bando, Maya. Itbarach, Ishtabach, Ishtabach, Yitzraman, Yitzrasay, Yitzradar, Yitzrale, Yitzralam, Shmid, Kurishab, Ramik, Virata, Bashir, Tushbet, Atav, Yehesh, Mama, Rabbanim, Shabbat, Bethlehem, Aleinu, Ve'al, Israel, May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we sing. Amen. Oh, say shalom. We are saved. Shalom. Yisrael. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am so excited to study this week's Torah portion. I can't even tell you. So if you're just as excited as I am, you can see me here tomorrow at 9 a.m. 8:55 if you're super duper really exactly like the most 9 a.m. Torah study. And then 10:30 a.m. the Bat Mitzvah of Zinni and Marcus. There are other things going on in the community. There are other things going on. So definitely we have a daily minion. What else is going on in our community?
Bottom start for July, July 15th. We're gonna have some social get-togethers at breweries and other fun stuff events around the state. In July and August, so keep an eye on your email and our calendar for that. And enjoy the summer.
Enjoy summer.
Just like I can't, so this is one of these.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, that's a lot of good stuff. Of course, you're always welcome to reach out to us and give us an idea of other things you'd like to have out there. Because it's your community and your space. So let's do things that you want to do. But tonight we get to end with something I want to do with a reprise of a Gesher Tzar. Before we wrap up tonight, though, I should say that very generously the Marcus family has provided for us in Monet, and it's out in the foyer. So after services, we'll say a little hamotzi, we'll go have some hash, we'll do some schmoozing. It'll be a good time. And because we have all these good things, because we have this very special community, all the more so, no matter what goes on outside these walls, we can say, the whole wide world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. The whole wide world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, a very narrow. But then I Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.